SCORE Northeast Wisconsin and WHBY are pleased to bring you Biz Talk, a chance for you to hear from entrepreneurs and professionals as they share their experiences. From starting to sustaining growth, learn the skills needed for your business to be successful. If you miss anything, you can catch the Biz Talk podcast at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. And now from the Myron Construction Studio, it's Biz Talk on WHBY.
Good Saturday morning to everybody, and welcome to Biz Talk with SCORE. I'm one of the co-hosts this week, Terry Finch, and joining me as co-host is Mary Rohde. Mary, welcome.
Good morning, Terry. It's a beautiful day.
It is. Summer's coming.
It'll be here eventually.
Yeah. All right. So for listeners who may not be aware, this month is Financial Literacy Month. And financial literacy is really a foundational knowledge base rather than a separate financial topic. So this month, we've been featuring the stories of organizations involved in finance or business or finance related education to highlight the practical implications of financial literacy and why it's so important. At SCORE, we see the importance of financial literacy every day, including the link between personal financial literacy and business financial literacy. It's one of the reasons we're such a strong supporter of the topic. In addition, I hope most of you are aware, but just recently the state of Wisconsin has made it a requirement to graduation from high school that you have at least a half credit of financial literacy training. That's something that's new and coming and very important. So as we put all of that together, and hear the stories about fraud and the concerns with financial safety, it's just very important to cover this topic, and that's why we're so supportive of the month. And this week, our last series in the show, or last show in the series, we've got guests from our sponsor, Johnson Financial Group, and we're talking to Bruce Sack and John Jones. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Great to be here.
All right. So first, let's start with, could you let our listeners know what Johnson Financial Group is?
Yeah, I can give you a kind of a high level or a snapshot of the story behind Johnson Financial Group. So we are a family-owned financial institution here based in Wisconsin, owned by the Johnson family, the family that also owns SC Johnson and Johnson Outdoors. The family has a pretty diversified business model across their portfolio of companies, including outdoor products, consumer products, and then financial services, which we deliver through Johnson Financial Group here. We are the largest family-owned or closely held bank in Wisconsin. We are just over $7 billion in assets as we measure banks kind of by the size of assets that an organization has. And we're fully integrated from the standpoint of offering everything from consumer banking to private banking, business and commercial banking, mortgage banking, as well as full wealth management services and trust and fiduciary services. So we can bring the full package of needs to the table that many of our clients need on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. And so, Bruce, can you talk a little bit about how you got to the work with Johnson Financial Group and what your role is there?
Yes, absolutely. So I am a native of Northeast Wisconsin. I was actually born and raised in Bailey's Harbor up in Door County, and have all my family and friends here in Northeast Wisconsin for the most part. My wife is also from the area. When I graduated from Gibraltar High School, I went to UW Oshkosh to seek a degree in finance and economics. And coming out of my college experience at UW Oshkosh, we happened to be in a recession in 1992, and many of the finance majors were looking at each other, kind of wondering, what are we going to do here as we're coming out of college and starting our careers, and not knowing it at the time, but I was approached with an opportunity to enter into banking. And quite frankly, as I was going through college, I never even thought about banking as an option. But as history has played out here, it was a pretty great move, and I've enjoyed every day of it since. I started as a management trainee at Valley Bank down in Madison, Wisconsin, but ultimately wanted to get back to Northeast Wisconsin, where many of my friends and family are at. So came back to Northeast Wisconsin in 1994 and have been doing commercial banking in the region here ever since 1994. 24 years of that with my prior employer. And then about 8 years ago, I joined Johnson Financial Group to lead the efforts here in Northeast Wisconsin.
Hey, and John, could you give us a little bit of your background?
Yeah, so actually not native here in Wisconsin. I'm from southern Indiana, initially, but I consider this area home now. I love Appleton. Went into college knowing I wanted to pursue a degree in finance and spent some years in consumer finance and wanted to help people more. So switched over to banking here recently, and then actually this past year joined Johnson Financial Group. And, I can tell you, and I say this to everyone, it was probably the best career move I've ever made.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how the two of you started to learn about how to manage your own finances and really that whole idea of financial literacy. Bruce, let's start with you.
Yeah, so as I was going through, grade school, middle school, high school, I loved math, which was probably the start of all of it. And as I got into my high school years, I really started to take a liking to understanding about investing and just general finance, which then led to my college pursuits of finance and economics. But just really understanding how banking worked, how financial planning works, how the stock market worked, all the different facets of it. I was just intrigued by it and fell in love with it at a pretty young age. So that's what led me ultimately into the world of finance and into the world of banking.
And John, for you?
I'd say actually fairly similar. Huge fan of math in school and actually took some engineering courses in college because it just seemed fun. But no, when I graduated, I was looking at do I want to go into more wealth management or whatnot, and I decided I want to help people. I want to stay customer facing, right? And banking just seemed like the perfect place to land to get to help manage, but also guide people in their journeys.
Okay, so let's turn to Johnson Financial Group again. One of the things that you will notice if you go to the website, Johnson Financial Group, and through conversations on this show, is that you really do have a full lineup of offerings. And can you talk a little bit about how that adds value for your clients and customers?
Yeah, so I can come at it from one angle. John comes at it from another. So being in commercial banking, I would say my more regular and direct interaction is with businesses and companies here in the region. So, we work very closely with many of them family-owned businesses in the area here, but also some are owned by private equity firms and whatnot. But we work very closely with them around the banking needs that a business has, whether it be treasury management, commercial lending like working capital lines of credit, and equipment financing, real estate financing, you name it. We're able to tackle all those different needs here that businesses have as they're looking to reinvest or grow themselves, which many companies around here are very conservatively run, but also growth oriented. So they typically need a banking partner to help make that happen. With that, then we get to work with the business owners and we get to work with their employees through things like the retirement plans. You name it. We can kind of come at it from all different angles and deliver not only what the business needs, but the business owners and their employees. And that's where John plays a critical role coming from the other angle.
Yeah. And I would say, from our angle, right, you're obviously handling the big picture of things in that nature to where we're, trying to help the general employee, right, on the consumer side, whether it's just general accounts, maybe just even looking at some lending options for them for personal use. And I think that's what's great is because we have, since we do house so much here in one location, when someone walks through the door, no matter really what the problem is, we can get someone involved to help assist almost immediately.
And how do you manage that relationship? So if it's with a business owner where you're doing both the financial, personal side and the business side, how do you make sure people across your firm work together to manage it appropriately?
Yeah, I think that's the secret sauce or the art of what we do. And to John's point, many of us are co-located in the same building, so it's actually pretty easy to stay connected on how we're handling a certain relationship. I would say that many of our competitors that do commercial banking and different forms of banking have pulled resources out of the region, where we've been focused on adding resources to the region. And that allows us to have kind of that one-stop shopping, but also a team that's assembled to work with that relationship and stay very well connected so that everybody knows what each other's doing. And I think we do a pretty darn good job of it.
Yeah, to echo Bruce there, I think it's all about that communication, right? And the fact that we are all housed together. I think a lot of institutions, generally offer the same thing, but in different ways. So rather than having to necessarily reach out to someone who I don't know on a personal level, or I can't even go knock on the door of, in a sense, like we all make sure we stay in the loop together with what's going on.
Okay. So what does the Johnson Financial Group brand mean to you as employees and for your customers?
Yeah, I would say, one of the messages that's very well received and resonates here as we're dealing with, again, both households as well as businesses, is family owned, Wisconsin based. That comes to mind often. This is our marketplace, is the state of Wisconsin, versus many of our peers or competitors. Wisconsin is one of their markets. This is what we call home and where we do business. So I think that family-owned, long-term thinking and strategizing of how the bank should run over a long period of time versus quarter to quarter, and then just that local focus of taking care of the communities that we do business in. There's a strong belief that, we're a function of how strong the communities that we do business in are, and there's a shared fate in that, making sure that all works well. So we believe in reinvesting in communities, pouring resources into our communities, and being part of what's happening here day in and day out.
And over the last few years in this region, we've seen the results of Johnson Financial Group building and investing in the area to grow the business. How did the group decide that this was an important part of Wisconsin to invest in?
So, when you think about the different areas that we focus on, commercial banking being one of the very core pillars of what we do, we love the manufacturing base here in Northeast Wisconsin. There's a lot of skilled trades, talent, manufacturing occurring here. A lot of that manufacturing requires pretty intense banking relationships. Again, whether it be working capital or equipment financing or things like that. And when you have a robust manufacturing environment like this, it really fits well for a commercial bank. And then everything that goes around that commercial relationship, as I mentioned earlier, the need of the owners, the need of the employees, the retirement plans, and all that just kind of builds from there. So we really love the dynamics of the economy here in Northeast Wisconsin. It's diverse. It's very well run by the business owners that we interface with, and just we kind of view it as a hidden gem, Northeast Wisconsin. And I don't think it's as hidden as it used to be, but there's amazing things happening here every day, and we love to be part of it.
Okay, we've reached the point where we're going to take our first break. You're listening to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY, and we'll be right back after these messages.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Biz Talk with Score here on WHBY. And for Terry and I continue our conversation this morning with Bruce Zack and John Jones from Johnson Financial Group, I'm going to take just a few moments here to tell you more about Score Northeast Wisconsin. Score Northeast Wisconsin serves an 18-county area in Northeast Wisconsin, plus the county of Menominee in Michigan. We have over 50 volunteers, each an expert in their field, offering entrepreneurs no-cost and confidential mentoring. Those areas of expertise include IT, social media, marketing, cash flow, accounting, strategic planning, workflow, HR, retail, best practices, and many, many others. In order to register for a no-cost confidential mentoring session, and or to learn more about SCORE Northeast Wisconsin, we encourage you to visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. You can learn more about how the SCORE chapter can assist you with starting and or growing your business, and you can complete an application for a mentoring session. Simply complete that online form and submit it to SCORE. Within just a few days, a SCORE mentor will be contacting you to set up a meeting. Remember, SCORE is no cost and offers experts who can offer you assistance in many different areas. To get started, visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. To support small business people, SCORE Northeast Wisconsin is always looking for new mentors. If you have experience that you would like to share with others, we would love to talk to you. We welcome volunteers with experience in all aspects of business. Small business owners need your help, and your experience can make a real difference to their success. Go to score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, click on the volunteer button, and fill out the short application. We will get back to you to explain more. And finally, this reminder about the Biz Talk with SCORE podcast. Biz Talk with SCORE podcast brings you the same real-world information and insights from experienced entrepreneurs and business leaders, just like Biz Talk with SCORE on WHBY. However, the Biz Talk with SCORE podcast is available, so subscribe today, tomorrow, or whenever you want. And it's also available. Back to our chat here this morning with Bruce and John. We're going to kind of continue our conversation here from the first segment of the episode today. And, you know, we were talking off air and you mentioned something that really stuck with me. You said a healthy company means healthy employees. And I think when people think health, they're like, okay, yep, I have to be physically fit, but you also want your employees to be financially fit. And so, part of what you all do at Johnson Financial Group is kind of ensuring that employers certainly are stable, but also that you're helping their employees and their financial health. So, John, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
So here over the past, I'd say 6 to 9 months, we've really been providing a lot more financial wellness guidance for the employees of the business clients that we do have partnerships with. And so those topics have been ranging from, like, say, initially budgeting, say savings, credit, or even like the basics for investing for somebody, kind of just allowing them to have more information on the topic so they feel a little more secure about what they're trying to do. And we've even expanded that more just based on like the feedback that we're getting from the individuals we're presenting to, because we're trying to make sure we're listening to what's needed in the community so that we can help satisfy that. And it's definitely, I know we spoke earlier, I think it's great that the school system is now requiring that credit, for the financial wellness in a sense there. And I think trying to help fill that gap, right, to where maybe that wasn't a top priority before, and just make these individuals feel more secure about the decisions they're making. And maybe they're a little fearful that they started off with like the wrong path, right? But now that we can help kind of give them the guidance of knowing it's not the end of the world, we all have those hurdles we have to get through, and then we kind of paint a whole new picture for them on what's possible.
Yeah, Bruce, anything to add there?
Yeah, I think one of the other things that we're all just living with here, not only in Northeast Wisconsin, but around the country, is just a really challenging housing market. And one of the things that is topics that John's referring to that's been really well received and important is helping people, especially first-time home buyers, positioning themselves to be a competitive buyer when it comes to buying a home. And when you think about if you get your workforce stabilized with home ownership and their housing and whatnot, chances are that they're more likely to stay in the area, which means they're a longer term member of the workforce. And it just feeds on itself in terms of helping people through those major life decisions and getting them prepared on how to participate in that and be effective at it. It's still a seller's market right now. So if you're looking to buy a home, you really want to kind of be pre-approved and pre-positioned to be able to go in and be an aggressive buyer. And we're able to help employees with that too, just educating them on how that whole process works. So it's a wide ranging series of topics, as John mentioned there, of how to help people just be financially well. And we love doing that. Our employers love it. It's a huge value add for their workforce. And we love it because it just is good for everybody involved, our employers and employees. So.
We
I
can't
think
control. Sorry.
I think it's exceptional that you guys are truly kind of positioning yourself as a company in the market to be someone who can, again, not only help the company itself, but then also their employees. And another thing I recall you mentioning is, that if there's problems or issues at home, that those employees often bring those into work, right? And often too, those problems or issues could be stemming from a financial situation.
Absolutely.
So the fact that you're looking at really the whole health of the company and doing that for so many businesses here throughout Northeast Wisconsin is really great to hear.
It's very rewarding.
It is.
Wonderful. So with that, we are at the point for our next commercial break here. You are listening to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Biz Talk. Before we get back to our guests, Bruce Zach and John Jones from Johnson Financial Group, I want to give you a quick update on an educational opportunity that's coming up. So from Tuesday, May 5th until Friday, May 8th, there is going to be the Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor's Small Business Academy 2026. So this is held across 10 locations across the state. The first 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, are pretty much all online. But on Friday, it's in-person sessions in those various locations. And the regional area in this part of the state is going to be in Green Bay. So working with the Chamber of Commerce, there'll be in Green Bay, there'll be some events and activities there, but 10 total locations as well. And there's an opportunity here for a lot of training, education, and learning about different aspects of running a small business. And it's a really good opportunity to meet and network. So again, May 5th to May 8th, with in-person events on May 8th. You can go to sba.gov/event/82580 to find more about this. There are other locations and websites, but we'd be talking for 15 minutes for me to read through those full web addresses. So we'll go with that one. Again, it's sba.gov/event/82580. So that's the Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor's Small Business Academy. And there will be a SCORE mentors at some of those locations as well to help out. Okay. So with that, now we're going to turn back to Bruce and John. And John, one thing that's becoming very important to everybody in society recently is artificial intelligence. We're hearing more and more about that in the news. In fact, it's almost leading many of the news stories now. So for financial institutions such as yours, how is artificial intelligence impacting the way Johnson Financial Group thinks about banking today?
You're right. It's probably the hot topic, has been for a bit, and I don't see that going away anytime soon, just with how quickly it's evolving. And for us, I think we just view it as another tool, right? Kind of starting to help break down some of maybe the data we're siphoning through, or maybe in some cases some of the financial planning we're starting to look at, shortening that window of time that we have to maybe build up the initial portion of that, right? It's allowing us to really get to more clients, I'd say more quickly, and just be able to help more individuals.
So as you look at customers that are coming in, and are they starting to ask more about this, or is it something you haven't had too many questions on yet from clients and customers?
I haven't myself experienced questions about like, oh, well, we're using AI to do this, or like for what we're utilizing it for. But I would say it's becoming more of a topic that just our clients are talking about in general, right? Like they might talk about, hey, I just downloaded the most recent popular AI app and I'm using it on my phone, and we might have a discussion about it, right? And start talking about maybe ways they could utilize it themselves for some of the things they're trying to plan for, or some of the things they're trying to maybe work through to create a plan for. So it's not been a big question topic for us on our work yet, but it is definitely something I'm seeing utilized across the board by about every person I speak with now.
Okay. So as you look internally, is this something employees are starting to ask about? and question where Johnson Financial Group is going with artificial intelligence?
I would say, we're definitely starting to look into what features we as employees can be utilizing this for, but it's not, like I said, it's not something that I'm seeing as a replacement of maybe an aspect of what we're doing, but more of just an aid, right? If we're trying to start to create something for a client, we can utilize that to make it just more efficient, so we can get answers back quicker, or we can create that plan quicker. It's definitely becoming something that I'd say each line of business is trying to utilize in a different way based on what they're trying to do for our clients.
So taking a step back quickly, looking more at your industry, what have you been hearing about AI and its impacts on your industry as a whole, both pros and cons? Because I'm in marketing, right? And so there's certainly many discussions around the utilization of the different AI tools out there within my industry, and the pros and the cons that come with that. Talk about authenticity and, is what you're reading even completely correct, right? So what are you guys hearing in the financial world?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing across the industry, and everybody's kind of got their own path to market or how to take care of their clients, but we just believe to our core that it's important still for people to interact with people. So we are viewing AI as an opportunity to free up time for our people to be able to spend more time with our clients and prospective clients, not as a way to replace our associates, but to make them more effective at what's most important, and that is interacting with clients. Some of our competitors are the industry and as a whole, and there's no right or wrong to this. It's just, again, how you want to go to market is they're using it as a way to potentially shrink the workforce, automate processes and procedures, automate that experience where clients are not necessarily interacting with a person like what we feel is important and how to go to market, but really as a way to scale their business through automation versus interpersonal communication and touches. So I think that's where you're going to see everybody kind of picking their path here around how they want to use AI to their benefit. We view it, as John has very accurately said, as a resource or a tool to make our people more effective, to increase the amount of time they have to spend with clients.
Yeah, I think we.
Go ahead, John.
I would just say, I know Bruce mentioned this earlier. I think at our core, we're always very customer oriented and customer focused. So I don't think AI is ever going to have an impact on that or how we operate whatsoever. It's just always going to help us be better at focusing on that.
So, interesting comment I'll make is that over my career, I've seen a lot of technology that is supposed to eliminate, reduce employees. And what I've consistently seen is the businesses that are the most successful are the ones that use it to augment their employees and understand the human touch matters just as much as the technology. You have to have both, but it's great to hear that you're doing that, because I think sometimes we oversell technology. It's critical to what we do, but you still need the human side to it as well.
Yeah,
that's very well said, Terry.
So as you look at what's happening generally with technology and specifically with artificial intelligence, but how do you develop a consistent message with any of these type of changes that you get across to your employees and customers to really say, this is still Johnson Financial Group, this is how we work, and this is why it's important?
That is the art of where we're at with this whole journey, Terry, is, a year ago we had associates that are more on the cutting edge of using technology in their day-to-day lives, and there's others that are kind of the late adopters, including myself in many ways. But we're at a point as an organization right now where we're really encouraging our associates to get out and just start to use this tool to figure out how it can affect their day. Not forcing it upon them, but really trying to just increase the adoption rate of it and make them aware of what this is capable of doing for them. So, and I think you're going to see everybody, we're a company of roughly 900 associates. each person's going to have their own journey on how they get up to speed and get comfortable and how to use it most effectively. And our goal right now is to just get everybody at least trying it. And we're doing that through all kinds of communication with our employees, manager to direct reports, mass communication throughout the organization, some training sessions and things like that. But I would say we're probably in the first or second inning on this at this point. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like a year and 2 and 3 years down the road.
So one of the most important functions of any bank or financial business is risk management. This tool seems to have a lot of potential to be changing the way you manage risk for clients and for your business. How are you starting to think about that?
Yeah, and we can hit that from multiple angles. When I think about how we're preparing ourselves to go out and meet with a commercial client, a business owner, we can very quickly get up to speed on hot topics or issues facing a business in that industry. Just allows us to go into the room more armed with things that are on their mind. But it also helps us understand where the potential future risks are and have those conversations with our commercial clients. I think we continue to work with clients very closely, both consumer and commercial clients, around how to manage the increase in fraud activity as it relates to technology, and AI will definitely have its benefits and challenges that come with that. I think we're going to need as an industry to become better and better every day on how to defend against that. And the bad guys are going to get better and better every day with the tools that this brings. So it's a little bit of an arms race, and we're up for it. We have to be up for it because that's the core of our business. So, our IT team and our compliance and fraud teams are continuing to expand, and we're putting more resources in that, in how to not only defend it, but also educate our employees around what they need to be open to and thinking about and being aware of out there in terms of potential things that can come from a fraud standpoint. So it's multifaceted around how we're going to manage risk in the financial services industry. Fraud is at the top of everybody's mind just because it's so prevalent, unfortunately.
Okay, so for the rest of this segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about aspects of financial literacy. And for our listeners, if you go to the Johnson Financial Group website, there's some great resources there to let you read and learn more about aspects of financial literacy. So we're going to talk about a few of them now, in no particular order. The one I wanted to start with was retirement planning. What do you see for clients and customers coming in where you can help them with retirement planning, or how do you help them with retirement planning? A better way of saying it.
So maybe I'll start that one, and John,
Yeah.
again, you can hit it from a different angle. But so when I think about how we interface with businesses, we deliver retirement plan service capabilities to our clients. So the actual 401k plans or retirement plans that they're offering their workforce, we're actively involved in constructing those plans, administering those plans, and in educating the employees around what's available to them. So if you think about kind of going at it through the employer model, it is creating a robust plan that has good investment lineups, but then most importantly, it's that educational piece of getting employees engaged with that benefit and taking advantage of that benefit, and kind of beginning their financial wellness for retirement, just like all the other things that we're talking about from a wellness standpoint. So we do a lot of deliberate work around retirement plan services with the employers in communicating to their employees how to utilize a really attractive benefit that employers spend a lot of time and energy and resources on delivering, to be not only a competitive employer, but again, making sure that they're taking care of their employees.
Okay.
John comes at it from a different angle, and you can speak to that, John.
Yeah, I mean, from my side of things, again, I get to work directly with some of the individuals in our retirement plan services group. And then we are, on site offering a financial wellness presentation. So specifically with this would revolve around, maybe it's the budgeting aspect so that we are making sure we're on track, or even just the overall savings plan, right? And just making sure that when we're having these conversations with these individuals, we know that the topics, they can be stressful, right? Finances are one of the most stressful aspects in our lives. And whether the conversations are maybe questions they want to ask in front of a crowd, or maybe we end up scheduling some time just to meet, to maybe go through some things that they're thinking about now on this, we just try to open their eyes to have the honest conversation, right? And just knowing that it's not the end of the world if we're not there yet, but that we can create a plan no matter where you're at.
Okay. So let's move on and talk a little bit about fraud prevention. I'm sure you guys are in the middle of it in many cases because you'd be the institution, the people trying to commit the fraud or trying to get the money out of those person's accounts. So what are you seeing and what do you try to help your customers understand in order to manage this?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, if there's anything that, some of the old rules of thumb of if it's too good to be true, it probably is. If you're not familiar with an inbound phone number or a text message or an email, or any type of interaction that you're facing, one thing that we truly recommend that our clients do is when in doubt, hang up, pick up the phone and call the institution back, whether that's us or one of our peers in the industry. Instead of that outreach coming to you, say, hey, I'm going to hang up now and I'm going to call you back. And a lot of times that heads off a fraudulent attempt on somebody, trying to engage with an individual and or a business. We try to have a lot of familiarity with our clients and the members of their teams that are interacting with the bank. So our teams know their teams and there's familiarity there so that they know who they're going to be hearing from at Johnson. That's another, quite frankly, it's a high service or a high touch mechanism for us, but it's also a fraud prevention mechanism for us as well, as people talking to each other that recognize each other's voice. You know each other's backgrounds and whatnot, and it definitely is a nice line of defense as well. So, John, you can speak to what we do or see on the consumer side as well, but we definitely focus on this.
Yeah, fraud is definitely, it's always continuing to grow. Like you said earlier, we're going to have more tools to help fight, but that also means the fraudsters are going to have more in their toolbox as well. And I think, you pointed out something that's really important about what we offer, and it's that personal connection with our clients, right? I think everyone in the industry, whether it's us or some of our peers, are all preaching the same thing of please reach out to your institution to ensure this is legitimate. But with our ability to create these strong connections, spend more time being client focused, just with how we're structured, I think we create a trust, right? And so they know that whether they get a call that seems legitimate or maybe it does hopefully feel too good to be true, and we recognize that they just know I'm going to pause. I'm going to give my local banker a call who I talk to on a very frequent basis. And I'm going to make sure that I'm making the right decision. And it's nice that I've had a lot of clients reach out to me specifically when they do have something come up, because they're starting to catch those triggers, right? I shouldn't be listening to the individual stating they're from the police station telling me to go to this Bitcoin ATM on the corner. Cause that seems strange. But at one point a few years ago, I would see the mistakes happen. We'd try to correct it. And now I'm seeing a lot of clients getting ahead of the situation. And it's really good to see that happen now.
Good.
Yeah. And one other thing I would say on that is it's really common, unfortunately, that many times when this happens, whether it be inside of a business environment or a household environment, that within a minute of them doing something that exposed them, they realize it and they're calling right away going, I think I just bit the hook, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I would suggest is just slow down, take that extra step or two to reach out to the institution or to verify or legitimize who's attempting to reach out to you. Take that extra step. It's a great line of defense. A lot of times it just happens so fast, and the minute it happens, you realize that you kind of went down a bad path. So my biggest words of encouragement is just slow down and think it through before you do something.
Okay, we are going to take our final break. You're listening to Biz Talk with SCORE on WHBY, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Biz Talk with SCORE here on WHBY, and we are always so grateful for those businesses and individuals who sponsor Biz Talk with SCORE and help us bring this show to you here every week on WHBY and wherever you listen to your podcasts. So we're going to take just a second here to thank those sponsors who so generously support Biz Talk. First off is Haling & Associates. Haling & Associates helps small businesses and individuals not just prepare tax returns, but plan for the future. Haling & Associates, personal connection, positive results. We'd also like to thank our guests today, Johnson Financial Group. Wherever you are in life or the life of your business, Johnson Financial Group works to match the banking and wealth services needed to help you complete your mission. Next up is the Business News. Thank you to the Business News for promoting our program in the biweekly business newspaper serving Northeast Wisconsin with the latest business news and topics for the region. We're grateful for the support of Community First Credit Union. At its core, Community First Credit Union is a community of member owners where people work together to improve their financial well-being and help one another. Thank you to the New North. The Regional Marketing and Economic Development Corporation is an active supporter of SCORE. New North facilitates economic growth and helps people in this region live their best lives. Thank you to Baird. Since 1919, Baird has guided families through investment, trust, estate, and tax planning advice. So no matter what the future brings, you can be confident you're ready because your family is Baird's focus. And lastly, we'd like to recognize the David L. and Rita E. Nelson Fund within the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region for their generous donation to Biz Talk and SCORE Northeast Wisconsin. So bringing us to a close here on this episode of Biz Talk, Bruce and John, you've shared some amazing information today with all of our listeners, and we want them to be able to get in touch with you so they can become a client and help better their financial situation. So what are the best ways that they can reach you?
Yeah, so the best way to reach myself here would be my direct line is 920-225-5530, and email address is bzak, so the letter B, Z-A-K, at johnsonfinancialgroup.com. And I'm also pretty active on LinkedIn, so if people reach out through that channel as well. So
yeah, and I'll share my direct line is 920-225-5502, and then you could also reach me by email at jjones@johnsonfinancialgroup.com. Also, again, feel free to add me on LinkedIn or just feel free to visit the branch, whether you're a client or not.
And if folks just want to stay in touch with and stay in tune with what Johnson Financial Group is doing, do you have a great website or social media they can find you as well?
We do. You'll see we have a pretty robust website. We have blogs that are posting regularly on everything from investing to financial wellness and certain topics like that. And then we're very active on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn as well. So
great.
So in the last minute or minute and a half we've got left, let's just go with the most consistent question we ask in this show is, are you still having fun doing what you're doing, Bruce?
I love what I'm doing. I would say that I feel like I'm at the pinnacle of my career here with not only where my network stands, but also being able to bring our organization into the ecosystem here in Northeast Wisconsin with things like Biz Talk and the work that SCORE does. It's important work. Our collaborations with the Chambers of Commerce and different organizations. It's just fun to be part of a community and trying to make it better and better every day. So yeah, I'm having a blast. Okay.
And Bruce, thank you. And John, thank you for joining us as well. You've been listening to Biz Talk with SCORE and WHBY. You can find previous episodes at that website, score.org. /Northeast Wisconsin, or you can go to Webcatchers everywhere and see episodes or listen to episodes since the beginning of 2024. We really appreciate you listening in, and it's great to have everybody here again. We'll talk to you again next week.